Right.
They haven't, and both of them are very effective. And unfortunately, and fortunately, we don't want everybody to become a convicted felon. I'm fortunate that I did illegal, took
Sure.
part in illegal activity when I was in my disease, but I didn't have to go down that road because my bottom was raised for me.
Right. Well, and the thing about drug courts and that kind of thing is, well, I guess here's the question I have. The family says to you, yeah, well, that's all great, but if I say anything, then they're going to end up in jail, and I don't want that to happen. Uh, you run across that kind of thing, and
Yeah,
what do you advise at that point?
I love that one. So let's go back to that family that I was trying to help regarding the doctor. I said, I really want to help. I think that he may be addicted to drugs. And the family said, yes, definitely. I said, let's get him to go into treatment. They tried to intervene on their own. And I think this is another important message. You can't pick and choose what an interventionist is trying to guide a family to do and say, oh, that one looks like it'll work, but that one I just can't do.
Right.
You have to be prepared to do all of them in order to raise that rock bottom. So the family decided that, well, he's going to come live with us, and he's going to detox with us, and then instead of going to treatment, because he said that would work for him. And I said, that's not going to work. I said, just because he's been through schooling and he's a physician doesn't mean that he has the tools and has surrendered to his disease and is getting the help that he desperately needs. He needs to surrender to treatment.
Right.
The family said, absolutely not. I'm not willing to go that level, because what I was recommending is if he chose not to go to treatment, you have a letter that's prepared to go to the medical board saying, I am the parent, I am the sibling, I am the family member of so-and-so. And I believe that there's a drug issue, an alcohol issue, and we would like them to be part of your diversion program. And turn them into the board.
Right.
And have them find out through the parents versus them turning themselves in, which is a smoother process, because then it seems like they've already surrendered to recovery, they want the help, but they turn themselves in.
Sure.
The family was just like you said. The family was like, oh, no, we can't get the medical board involved, and, maybe just coming to our house would help. And long story short, he stayed with the family for a month. He left there, went back to his old behaviors. In that time frame of leaving their home, he started being investigated by the DEA, and they arrested him recently, and he is one of the highest prescribing doctors for opiates
Right.
in the state, and he's going to probably more than likely end up doing jail time, and there's probably a really good chance that he will never see his license ever again.
And there was a possibility, with a little courage on the family's part, that might have been intervened and stopped.
Avoid it. If the medical board would have got involved and he would have turned himself in through this intervention process, told the board that he's having a problem, I need to be accountable to you, what is the protocol, how do I get enrolled? If he would have went down that avenue, this could have been possibly all avoided, and he could have been in recovery and living that spiritual life that we all have to get to in order to get long-term recovery.
Well, that whole thing brings up a really, what I feel must be a huge issue in what you do, and that is that we're really talking about a family disease here. And it's not just, the addict or the alcoholic that's the problem. You got the other side of that, which is the person who should be an Al-Anon or Nar-Anon or, some program themselves. How do you, it's tough to get past that codependency, I would think, and trying to scare them. I don't know. Do you run into that a lot?
Oh, man, that is the number one blocker for families not moving forward on helping their loved one. Because just like you said, I'll give you another example on a case. I helped this one family, and the judge said to the mother, said to the son, was only 24 years old, said to the son, if you are back in my courtroom ever again, you break your probation, which means using, then you will go to prison for a year. You will have to do prison time. And because he's been in and out of jail, he's been arrested so many times for drugs. So he offered him treatment. He refused to go to treatment. He showed up on the mother's doorstep loaded on opiates, on pills. And the mother said it was the hardest thing she ever had to do, but she called 911 and had him arrested and knew her son was going to prison. She knew she had to do this. Otherwise, she would have to just wait for the natural progression of the disease and see what happened. So while her son was in jail for that time that he was sent to prison, two of his friends overdosed on a bad batch of opiates and heroin.
Wow.
And she went to their funeral.
Wow.
That time frame.
Well, you know, I know that for that woman, it took a huge amount of courage to do what she did. You know, when we're in that codependency, we don't realize that we think we're thinking about them, but the truth is we're thinking about ourselves and how we're going to appear or what we're going to lose, and it's very, very self-centered, and we don't even realize it.
Yep.
We just have no clue. And the other thing that you must come up against, and that's, you know, like trying to scare the addict, the alcoholic into recovery, is, you know, with the idea of death. That's a hard job, because I believe, you know, my experience with a lot of these people, if not a majority, they're suicidal to begin with.
Yeah. Usually that's not a fear factor for addicts. That's,
yeah.
You know, it's not usually the one that we pull from in order to get them to hit a rock bottom.
Yeah, because you know, I'd rather die than have to go through all that I have to go through in order to quit what I don't think I can quit anyhow.
Yep.
So
that doesn't usually work.
So you've also written a book, I believe it's called Face It and Fix It. It's a 3-step plan to break free from denial and discover the life you deserve. And that's available where? Amazon and bookstores, or where is it available at this point that someone can? Because I looked through that and it looks pretty powerful. There's a lot of great information in there. I think there are a lot of people out there who could really use that.
Yeah, and that was the purpose of the book, is because it's really not just about the addict. It's about breaking through the denial for the family members that, as you just put it, they think that they're helping.
Right.
And they're really signing their death certificate is what it boils down to. I mean, imagine that mother not taking that action and her son being dead because she took the action. That was one of the most inhumane things you would think you would have to do as a parent, but yet it could have saved her son's life. Absolutely.
And they're just, the denial is so powerful. So tell me, what's your definition of denial, and what part does it really play in intervention, and how do you break through a strong denial system like that?
Well, that's what the book is really designed for. It helps people, you know, read the book, and then you go through these steps to understand that, you know, am I in denial, or am I enabling, or am I, you know, where am I in my life? And what we're trying to do is open up their hearts to show them that if they take a different action, they may get a different result. You know, what they've been doing this far is working to help get their loved one the help that they need. So that was the purpose of the book, and part of my co-author, you know, he helped me design this, the definition of a rock bottom, because, you know, every single person in the years in recovery and hearing that, you know, an addict and an alcoholic won't stop until they hit a rock bottom. And when you say, oh, what is a rock bottom? Everybody just, you know, sat there with their jaws wide open and say, well, it's different for everybody. You know, they'll find it when they're ready for it, but it's different for everybody. And for me, that wasn't a good enough answer. So I went in.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure many of the people you work with, the families, that answer couldn't play.
Yeah, and especially now when, you know, they say 6,000 people died last year alone in know, I seen that published recently where